Welcome to Building My Legacy podcast. This podcast is designed for leaders and entrepreneurs who want to leave a legacy and will provide strategies that focus upon key elements for legacy creation, determining your desired impact and its benefit, increasing your legacy's reach by engaging key stakeholders, planning, prioritizing, and executing. Here's your host, Dr. Lois Sonstega.
Welcome, everybody, to today's Building My Legacy podcast. I have with me today Zack Boothe. Zack has boldness and courage that I think all of us in business want our leaders to have, our employees to have. When we think about building a legacy, we want to have this incredible boldness and courage. But many times we're stopped because we haven't thought through processes that are essential. And here is what's interesting about Zack. He began life as a window washer and then decided to follow his real dream, which was to get into real estate investment. And he not only has dreams, but he challenges himself to push the limits. So what he's doing right now is to take $1,000 and see what he can. What's the challenge in 40 days to turn $1,000 into how much?
Into $40,000 in 40 days is the goal.
$40,000 in 40 days. So if only more of us had that sort of perspective. And I'm going to have Zack just share his journey in terms of how he came up with that and what his process is and what this 40 days has been like. He's in mid-process. And when he's finished in 40 days, we'll have him come back and talk about what the completed process looked like. So, Zack, I'd like you to just get started. I can't wait to hear what you're doing.
Well, thanks. Well, thanks for having me on. Thanks for being here, and all the listeners, thanks for tuning in. So, the goal, like we said, is $1,000 in 40 days. 40,000 in 40 days, starting with $1,000. But to make things harder, I've flown from Utah to Florida and got an Airbnb to make it even harder because I didn't want to have my normal connections. I didn't want to have my team. It's just me. And I've got a camera crew following me around and, so it's starting from scratch. And I did this to prove that, hey, it's not just where I live. This can be done anywhere in the U.S. And I chose Florida because I could be in shorts and flip-flops while I did it and not a big winter coat, right? That's why I picked Florida, truly. I was swimming in the ocean on Sunday. It was beautiful. So anyways, my journey of going from window cleaning to where I am now, I mean, you can look me up on YouTube. If you search window cleaning, I'm going to be probably top 5 videos on window cleaning. I have a video with 11 million views, and I did that for a decade. Started out when I was 17. From the outside looking in, I was successful. I had 3 trucks, 13 employees. I ended up on the History Channel because of window washing. Just crazy things happened to me because of window washing. But I was not happy. I was not content. I wasn't making the money I wanted to make. And I started dabbling in real estate. I bought a duplex, living in one half and renting the other. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is way easier money than managing employees to wash windows and washing windows. My shoulder still messed up from it. And so I was trying to get into real estate, but I kept hitting all these obstacles of I needed bigger down payments and my debt to income wasn't there. And, even though I had good credit, that wasn't enough. And so then I tried flipping a house and I started asking all my rich clients if I could borrow money to flip a house. And I did. I flipped a house and it was a horrible experience. I lost money and I hated it. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to get more rentals and more passive income. And so I started researching, listening to podcasts and just trying to figure things out. And I learned about something called real estate wholesaling, where you find off-market discounted properties. You find properties at massive discounts, and then you put them under contract, and then you sell that contract to an investor. So you don't have to swing a hammer. You don't have to get debt. There's zero risk. You find the deal, you move the deal. That's it. And I paid $10,000 for my first coach. It was a bust. Found another coach who's actually his birthday today. It was Tom Kroll. Love the guy. And paid him $9,000. And that was in 2017. Did my first traditional wholesale deal. I made $10,000. And I did that in April 2017. By the end of that year, we did just over, we did like $115,000 in income and walked away from window cleaning at that point. Next year, I went as hard as I could go. We did just shy of $500,000 and I was blown away. At that point, I was writing checks, paying off debts. I was taking my wife to Brazil for a month. Like we were just having a wonderful experience. And at that point, I wanted to take things to the next level with real estate. And I honestly had no idea how. And I felt like I'd kind of tapped out my potential at that $500,000. And that was more money than I had ever made. I didn't know if I could do more. And so I started reading a self-help journal called Living Your Best Year Ever by Darren Hardy. And in there, you create 3 big goals. One of those big goals for me was to do $1 million in income the next year. And in that book, in those first 100 pages of that journal, it talks about the importance of giving away whatever you want to receive. So I took it seriously. I had to give away $1 million. And I didn't have $1 million. I really did not. And frankly, I wanted the $1 million. I didn't want to give it away. So my wife and I talked about it and we came up with an idea. It's like, well, Zach, you just did $500,000, implementing a marketing system. And that marketing system is what I'm using on this challenge, right? You came up with this system. Like, why don't you just teach that system? And to 10 people, you easily put over $1 million in people's pockets. So I brought on 10 students, charged them a couple $1,000s. And I said, I'm going to teach you. And my students just started having massive success all over the country, everywhere from Portland to Texas and Florida, all over the place. And South Carolina, I have students all across the country now. But anyways, they started having all this success. And the more that I was teaching, the more questions that I got that I never thought of. The more that I gave, the more that I received. And it was an amazing experience because yes, I hit my goal. I did $1.2 million that year. But more importantly than that to me was a fulfillment that I got out of teaching, was the purpose, the excitement, the exhilaration of helping someone get their first wholesale deal, of helping someone, that was struggling like I was struggling when I was a window washer, get into the business. And it kind of really shifted a lot of my perspectives. I worked really hard to implement systems and build a wholesaling business that was running without me, hiring an acquisition manager. And so I'm still doing wholesaling, but I don't have to go on the appointments. And anyways, when I started becoming obsessed with coaching, I thought, how can I teach more people? How can I show more people that this is possible? And, I think a lot of people just have a lot of doubts. They have a lot of skepticism that you can make this kind of money, that it's possible to have life-changing success, because frankly, most people think making money is really, really hard. Most people think it's impossible to make 6 figures in a month, starting with $1,000 or they don't think that that's even possible. They don't have that belief. And if you don't believe, you're never going to try hard enough to accomplish those things. So I was like, how can I give that gift to someone? How can I give that gift of belief and confidence when they don't have it? And so I was up super late thinking about it. And I had gotten done watching Undercover Billionaire, where he gets $100 and he flies to a new place and he has to turn it into $1 million company in 90 days. And I didn't want to sleep in a truck or anything. I wasn't going to be crazy. So I thought, well, I could do something similar. I'm going to take $1,000. I'm going to fly to a whole new location. I'm going to turn it into 40 grand in 40 days. And I'm 15 days in and I have completely crushed that goal already in the first 2 weeks. And so that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to give it away for free. I'm doing it to inspire and to help other people and to give other people permission to go for their dreams, right? To take that doubt out of them and give them all the confidence and belief in themselves. Like, I'm not doing this to be like, hey, look at me, look how cool I am. I can make a lot of money. Like, I don't need that, right? I don't need approval of other people. I truly am doing this because I want whoever's listening to this to believe in themselves and to have financial success. Most people believe that if, success is like is a finite amount. Like for example, success is like having a piece of pie. And if one person takes a piece of pie, that's less pie for us. But that's actually not true at all. The more that we are successful as a people, as a country, individually, as each family grows in wealth, there's more wealth to go around, right? The more value that I can provide, the more value that will be available for everyone, right? It's the opposite of what most people believe. There's an abundance in this world. And so that's why I'm here. It's definitely mission driven. It's to give back. But that's where I'm at now, day 15 of this challenge.
So day 15 of the challenge, you have several deals in the pot. How much money have you pocketed so far? And what's on the table that's coming down the pike?
Yep. So I've got 5 contracts already. I signed my 5th one 2 days ago. Yeah. 2 days ago. And, so Dave,
what are the sizes of your contracts, if I may ask?
Yep. So the 2 of them, I'm actually going to close on them and resell them. I'm going to make anywhere between 40 to 50,000 on each of those. They probably won't cash out in the 40 days, but I'll list them at about 110 and I have them under contract at 60. They're completely renovated. I have another one that I put it under contract. It's currently under contract at 35,000. It's a mobile home and fixed up. It's worth about 115, 120. It's a double wide, so it's a little bigger than the other ones. And that one, I'm going to assign the purchase contract, and my goal is a $15,000 assignment on that one. So just selling the piece of paper, zero risk, nothing. And then I've got another one that is I have to go through probate. So it's under contract. And what probate is, for people that don't know, is the person passed away. The elderly gentleman passed away. His 2 sons inherited the property. And to pass the title to the 2 sons, you have to go through a process called probate with an attorney. So we have to get that finished and finalized, but I should make about $15,000 on that contract, but it's going to take a couple months because of the paperwork. And then I have another deal that's completely vacant that I'm hoping to make $10,000 on within the next week or so. So we sent that deal out yesterday to our cash buyers. So we're doing really well.
So let me do the math. You've got 4 deals at 40,000 each, 120. You've got the one in probate.
Well, I've got two at 100. Let's be conservative. 2 at 40. So that's 80, right? And then I've got one at 15,
95.
And then I've got another one at 15, and then another one at 10. So
you're at 125.
Yeah, so pretty conservative guess is I'm going to profit about 125. Only one of them is going to be really quick money in my pocket, but for spending less than $1,000 and projected returns like that it's incredible.
So do you do the refurbishing, the remodeling that needs to be done, or who does that? Is that part of your contracting process, or how does that work?
Yeah. So let's just break down one of the deals. Okay. So the most recent one that I'm going to make 10,000 on. Okay. This one, I signed the contract. It's in decent condition. It doesn't need a lot of work. I expect it needs about a $15,000 rehab is all, nothing much. Bathrooms are new. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Fixed up, it's worth about anywhere between $135,000 to $150,000. I've got it under contract for $82,500. So I sent out an email to my cash buyers, and basically just investors and flippers that I've networked with since I've been down here. And I sent out an email and I said, hey, I have an assignable contract. I'm selling this contract so you guys can do the flip. And total acquisition prices for you is $93,000. So I will sell that. 193. I did the same anyways, 193,000. And so that means someone's going to come in and close on the original purchase contract that I have with the seller and pay me $10,000 for that contract. So I do no rehab. I get no debt to buy the house. It's just, I'm basically selling a piece of paper. So what I have to do is I get a purchase contract between me and the seller, and I send that to the title company. Then I find an end buyer that wants to do the rehab and take the risk. We sign a contract saying, I'm selling you this contract that the title company has. I'm selling that to you. You're buying it. You're going to close on it. You agree to pay me the assignment fee. I send that paperwork to the title company. The end buyer and the seller both go and sign. Money gets transferred, and the title company wires me my 10 grand.
So to do that, to make that work, you have to have a network of these buyers.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And you moved into an area of Florida. Where in Florida are you doing this, by the way?
I'm in Brandon. It's just a little east of Tampa.
Okay. So a somewhat affluent area in many ways, lots of business there.
Yep.
So how did you develop those relationships? You had to do it quickly in a very short period of time, because that's your front work, so that you can turn them around at the end of your 40 days. So how did you build those relationships so instantly?
Yeah. So I have thousands and thousands of emails, right, already of cash buyers and investors. So that's one of the first things you have to get in place is a buyer's list. And it's actually really easy to get a buyer's list. So there's something called Real Estate Investors Associations. They're basically real estate investors meetups. And because of COVID, it's actually easier to find out who's a part of those groups, because a lot of those groups are online. They have Facebook groups, those kinds of things. So you can go and pull all the information off those Facebook groups and gather that data. But what I did, that's not fast enough for my project. So what I did is I started finding all the wholesalers that are actually doing deals. Started, going and asking on those wholesale groups, who's our wholesalers in the area? And then I started calling them up and saying, hey, do you want more cash buyers? And they say, yeah, of course, we want more cash buyers. That equals more eyes on my deals. That equals, moving deals at maybe a little bit higher price. It's more money. Of course I do. It's like, okay, I'm going to trade cash buyers with you. How many cash buyers do you have? Well, I have 3,000. Okay, fantastic. I'll count you in as 3,000. I'll call you back when I've got double that. And then I call up the other wholesaler. Do you want to trade? Say, okay, great. So then I basically brokered the trade with all the wholesalers here. Now I have 11,000 cash buyers.
Okay, so what's a trade for you? What does that mean?
So basically, one wholesaler will say Joe Home Buyers, right? They send me 5,000 cash buyers, and this wholesaler sent me 2,000. This wholesaler sent me 4,000. So now I've got all these cash buyers. I get rid of the duplicates. I have this combined total of 9, 11, whatever thousand cash buyers, and I send that combined total back to each of those wholesalers. So their list grew, but I get the list as well.
Got it.
For brokering the trade. So it literally took me a couple phone calls.
Okay, and that becomes the base from which you begin your operation, because without that, you can't get anywhere. So tell me, when you begin this process, you've got a time clock clicking, you've got to produce a result. What does the day in the life of Zack look like?
Chaos.
I'm sure. I got it.
Chaos.
I got it. You're like the Mack truck that's been let loose.
Yeah. Man, it's been hard. It's been so hard because I have to, and it's fair because most people have a life too. Most people that want to get into real estate, they have a day job. They have to pay their bills, and they have family, and they have everything else. And so I still have my wholesaling business, and I have my coaching business, and I have my coaching students. So during the day, I'm doing those kinds of things. And a lot of the times I'm actually out on the road while I'm doing podcasts. I'm not today. But so this is how I've structured my day for the most part. Depending on the day, that might change because of the needs, right? But for the most part, I will cold call I start my day with a workout, and then at about 8:30 in the morning, I start cold calling. I cold call from about 8:30 in the morning till 11. And that is cold calling, trying to find seller leads, trying to find someone that has a property they're sick of, they don't want to deal with it, it needs some love. And so I'll do that in that time frame. In the afternoon, did you want to say something?
I was just going to ask you. Okay, seller that has something that they want to get rid of because it's a headache to them. How do you how do you define that? Because now you're refining your target market, right? So how are you defining that so you're finding the right people as efficiently as possible?
Yep. Great question. Perfect question. So most investors, especially wholesalers in this space, they're finding people that, are delinquent on their taxes, or they have secondary homes, or they have, those kinds of lists. A lot of them are public records. A lot of them you can buy from companies like PropStream or listsource.com. There's ways to get that kind of data. I do something way more efficient and way more laser focused on building the best marketing list. So in the middle of the afternoons, that's what I'm doing, is building that list to cold call, right? So, and the reason I do it in the afternoons is it's the worst time to cold call. So I try and block my times out to the most efficient time. So cold calling is best in the morning and the evening. So the middle of the day, I'm doing my day-to-day tasks while I'm driving around the neighborhoods. So I use an app called Deal Machine. Deal Machine is, it's a game changer. It's huge. So before, when I would drive around neighborhoods, I'd find a house that had a tarp on the roof and the grass was super long and a lockbox on the front door. It's like, okay, this bad boy needs to be sold, right? This is the ugly house on the block. And I'd have to write down the address, go home, look up on county records, find out who owned it, under tax information. It took forever to build a list of any size. What Deal Machine allows me to do is it's basically it's a Google Maps image, and it shows where I'm at on the GPS system. And I drive through the neighborhood while I'm talking on the phone or doing whatever I'm doing. And I'll see a house. I pull over and I hold my finger on the house on the Google Maps image. It drops a pin on the house and uploads all the information of the homeowner, the mailing address, the property address, everything that I need to reach out to that person into a beautiful Excel spreadsheet for me.
Wow.
So I'm adding 50 to 100 properties every single hour of driving to my marketing list. And that would not be possible without Deal Machine. So if you guys want to get that app, you can use my discount code PIN, P-I-N. That's going to allow you to get the route tracking software for free. So what that is, route tracking. So as you're driving around the neighborhoods, it's going to highlight where you've already driven. So I don't have to remember where I've been, where I haven't been, and it'll color coordinate it too for how long ago you drove it as well. So it's beautiful. And that's actually the owners. I've been in contact with them for a few years now and been asking for all these updates. So a lot of the updates on that app I've worked with the developers on, because that's how I've made so much money and it's one of my main tools. So then in the evenings, I come home and I cold call. I cold call again. And I cold call from anywhere between 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night is usually when I end. Saturdays, I try and call all day. Sundays, I try and call all day. Sunday, I couldn't burn out. I went swimming in the ocean. So, but that's basically it. Parts of the days, I have appointments. I got to run to appointments, and it, gets in the way of cold calling or driving. But the goal is to keep leads coming in as I'm working the deals that I found.
So,
and then cold.
I'm sorry, what?
As far as cold calling, a lot of people think I'm hand dialing all these phone numbers and calling them, but I'm calling through thousands of phone numbers in a couple hour stretch. And the way I do that is I use a triple line dialer. What that means, so I use mojosells.com. There's handfuls of calling platforms. So what that is you upload your Excel spreadsheet into this list and get your phone numbers, right? And you dial in to the dialer on your computer, right? There's a setup, there's a process to do it. It's one of the things I teach my students. But I'm calling 3 people at one time, and at the top of my screen, it's popped up the 3 numbers I'm calling. And then if someone answers, it picks up on my phone. Hey, how are you doing? And it pops up the information on my screen of all the information that Deal Machine pulled for me. And I know who owns it, the address, and I go through the script to see if they want to sell. If someone answers while I'm talking on the phone, it plays a recording of me going, hello, I'm going to have to call you back. And it hangs up. And And then when I get off the phone, it dials that person right back. I answer the phone. Oh, sorry about that. I was calling you about your property, yada, yada. And we go through the script. Right. So I'm just constantly going through calling and that kind of stuff. I set up dual screens. So I have a desktop screen and my laptop, and I have the cold caller running on the one screen, and I have my other screen set up to be able to respond to emails and, whatever I need to do, check my stocks, whatever I want to work on my other screen. So I'm doing more than one thing at one time.
Okay. It sounds like an ideal job for somebody with ADHD.
Me.
I'm fascinated. So tell me, how many cold calls per day are your target number, or is your target number?
My big thing is I try to get 2 to 4 hours a day in, depending on the
hours,
list.
Not the number of calls.
Yes, because it'll call as many as I can call. I can't really affect that as much, right? It's going to be dialing through, and I can't necessarily affect how many people will answer either, right? A lot of the times, like how many people I call through, how many, people I actually talk to that own the house, how many yeses, how many nos. Those are really lag measures. The only thing I can control is how many hours I'm actually on there dialing. So my goal is 2 to 4 hours a day on there for this challenge. And some days it's harder, some days it's easier to get those numbers, depending on other tasks like appointments that I have.
So does your spreadsheet and your deal, what did you call it? The deal maker app, do those talk back and forth so that your dialer and your deal maker you can use together, or how does that work? You just use the uploaded Excel and put that into the caller.
Yeah. So you have to export your list out of Deal Machine and then import it. Yeah. So you export it out of Deal Machine. Then you have to buy phone numbers for it. And we use a company called batchskiptracing.com to buy phone numbers. Use my discount code DFD, stands for driving for dollars, DFD, all lowercase, to get a lot better price on phone numbers. It costs like 15 cents a phone number. So that's where most of the cost comes in.
You called that skip what? Batch skip
tracing. Yeah, batch skip tracing.
Got it.
So once you buy the phone numbers, now you have an Excel spreadsheet with all of the information, including a phone number. Then you import that Excel spreadsheet into Mojo and upload it into Mojo. Then I can just go into Mojo, the platform, into my login, click on the list I want to call, and just start calling it. I mean, it sounds complicated. Like, I normally don't get into the exact processes on podcasts, but that's what you specialize in, what you love. But that's why I have, my course content. That's why I coach, is sometimes this is a little overwhelming. And that's what I offer my students, is I offer them a step-by-step guide to implement and how to use all these different platforms, how to be able to be efficient, even though it seems like only someone with ADD could do this, right?
Right. So you're right, but it's brilliant. And I think the whole concept of how do we sell is so, it's a lost art. We have gotten so we rely on digital marketing so much that old-fashioned tool of cold calling we've lost sight of. And yet it is, I think, going to emerge as one of the more important tools again.
Yeah. I mean, I make money in more than just cold calling, but it's the most proactive, fastest way to money.
Yeah.
Right. Like I make a lot of money sending text messages and sending postcards to these lists. We have radio ads. We have other ways that we produce leads. Yes. But I have 40 days to make 40 grand. So I'm proactively finding the ugly houses out here, and I'm proactively reaching out to people.
Got it.
All right. So I need money now, and it's very cost effective. It's a very, very inexpensive way to do this.
What are the biggest mistakes a person can make?
Trying to figure it out on your own. I mean, I made some big fat mistakes when I started. And mostly it was like, oh, wow, coaches are expensive was my thought process. And I was like, oh, I can just hire someone to do online ads for me. And I signed a $30,000 contract. I never got a lead, not a deal, not a lead. It was horrible. Right. And I tried to figure this out for years and years and years. And it's like, well, if I would have just had someone give me the steps and the outline, like how much money did I miss out on by not doing the right steps in the first place? Right. Like I'm not the only coach. There's a lot of coaches that teach real estate wholesaling. Like my advice is to find someone that'll give you a step-by-step outline that works and then just implement the outline. Like it's not rocket science. It's like, who would you rather learn from to play basketball? Do you want to watch YouTube or do you want to learn directly from Michael Jordan? Okay. Like what's going to be the most efficient and fastest way to be successful? It's weird to me that in business or entrepreneurship, some people find it weird to hire a mentor or a coach, but in sports, it's just the standard.
Right.
So my advice is a coach, an advisor of some kind.
Got it. We are running out of time, and it has been fascinating, and I can't wait for the end chapter of this. So I am eager to have you come back. But before we close, Zack, what have we missed that you would love to close with and leave in better completion?
Yeah. We got into some systems and how-tos and maybe some overwhelming things on this podcast. And I do not want you guys overwhelmed. I want you guys to watch the YouTube videos that I'll be launching. It's going to be all semi-live stuff. You can watch me go through this process. Don't feel like, you're not smart enough or you don't know systems enough or you feel overwhelmed by this content. Remember, I was a window washer a handful of years ago, right? I'm not the smartest guy in the room, right? I know that I am not, and I'm okay with that because you do not have to be the smartest person to be very, very successful in this world, right? So please believe in yourself. That's my whole purpose behind this. Like if I can do this, you guys can do this. Make sure you check out my YouTube channel. There's a ton of success stories of other people having massive success. One of my students, his first deal was $113,000 profit, quit his corporate job, life-changing. And he was cold calling from his hotel rooms on business trips, right?
Wow,
doing whatever he had to, right? Yeah. It's incredible. Like go and watch this stuff. Like if I can do this, you guys can do this. Also keep in mind all of my videos on my 40-day challenge, my favorite comment will be entered to win access to my coaching program, access to me as a coach free of charge. So make sure you leave me a comment too when you go check out those 40-day challenges.
For those of you who are listening, Zack has also offered to put his thought process for a day and how he approaches his day in the show notes. So it'll be available to you. And it's powerful. So thank you so much, Zack, for sharing your experiences and what you've learned with our audience. And for those of you who are listening today, thank you for being with us. Don't forget.
Yes, and
pardon me?
Sorry, I forgot to give them where they could follow me.
Okay, please go ahead. It'll be in our show notes as well. But please go ahead.
Okay, it'll be in the website dfdmastery.com. So driving for dollars. So dfdmastery.com. That is my website. There's a tab that says social media. All of my social media platforms are there if you'd like to follow me, including my YouTube channel.
Super. Wonderful. So I can't wait to hear what some of you may have used in what you've learned from Zack. Let us know. And Zack, look forward to the next chapter. Thanks very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
You've been listening to Building My Legacy podcast with Dr. Lois Sonstega. To book your appointment with Dr. Sonstega, visit www.buildtomorrow.com.